All right, peer officiating virtual study groups number 49, I think it is.
Oh,
We are joined by a special guest. Actually, the guest is not so special. There were like, we're going to talk about um, uh, eligible receivers being covered up. One of the virtual study groups members asked about this type of concept, so I thought it'd be cool to get a line of scrimmage official to talk about it. I called 8 line of scrimmage officials. None of them wanted to participate. So I continue going down the list, and look who I found, Mr. Andy Warner. Andy, you're number 8 in the program, but you're number 1 in my heart. So thank you for joining us to talk
well, I
about this
appreciate the
concept.
kind words. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Um, so covered up receivers, tight ends, all of that kind of stuff. Andy, let's first talk about communication. Let's say I'm a back judge or I'm a side judge. Do I care if you have a receiver covered up, and how do you communicate that? And what has been your experience with that in the past?
Um, in terms of whether someone is covered up or not, I don't think a deep official. He may know at times whether someone's covered up or he may not, and but in terms of it changing the way he officiates or anything like that, I don't think it really matters. We've never communicated to deep officials or anything like that on whether someone is covered up or anything, but we do, as line of scrimmage officials, make sure that we keep in mind if we do have tight end, for instance, covered up and he goes downfield and you know he's ineligible or something like that. So that's just for the line of scrimmage officials to keep in mind, not for deep officials.
Got you. So we're going to talk about the low hanging fruit first, and then we'll just talk about how do we figure out from the evaluative standpoint the line of scrimmage. How do you determine, because we hear all these philosophies about blade of grass and all this other crap. So we'll talk about all those intricacies, but just initially, so how do you do you communicate on the O2O? Like, let's say you have in this situation, this play right here. I'm not saying he is, I'm not saying he's not. You have this tight end covered up. I can't tell what his number is. Let's say you have him covered up. Do you say anything, or do you just keep going?
So this is by conference mandate really on whether you communicate to the opposite side official. There are some conferences that signal what receiver, like if the widest receiver is off the line of scrimmage or whatnot, to the other official across the field.
Aha.
In the conference that we work, we don't signal anything. So basically, the responsibility is fully on the official at the bottom of the screen to determine whether this formation is legal or not, and then he's gonna be the deciding person on this. So the person
Right.
up top is really absolved from worrying about whether someone's on or off at the bottom of the screen.
Gotcha. Okay, but let me, but I'm in my example, I'm saying you are at the bottom and you have determined that the number 2 receiver is covering the tight end up. Are
Mhm.
you going to say anything to this is trips? Oh, this is a new mechanic. This is a good time to talk about the new mechanic.
Yes.
Oh, that changes things, doesn't it? Because you, what it used to be is that the number 3 would be the back judge's key. Would you, let's first we'll start with the old way. Would you say anything to the back judge on the O2O that the tight end is covered up at all, or would you not do that?
Nope, because that's not really going to change. That piece of information is not really going to change how he officiates his receiver running his route and any
Gotcha.
defenders covering him.
Gotcha.
So, in terms of muddying the waters and getting on the O2O unnecessarily, that's not something that we would do in this situation.
Okay. All right. Well, let's talk about the new mechanic now. So
Okay.
now, since we have trips and we have a tight end, the back judge is going to be on number 2, right?
Yes, sir.
And then the line of scrimmage official is going to be on number 3. Whereas before, the back judge would start on number 3, and then if he stayed in the block, there would be an immediate switch. But that's not what's going on anymore. Trips with a tight end, the line of scrimmage official is going to work the tight end.
Yeah, and I mean, really, the leading reason for that is because there's higher probability of him staying in and blocking or whatever. So instead
Right.
of going through that transition and losing a little bit of focus maybe on those blocks and stuff like that, we just want to switch from the jump and make sure that the line of scrimmage guy is looking at that
Okay.
receiver at the beginning.
Okay, good. Okay. Well, let's just on this play. Okay, here I'm gonna go through slow because I like to talk about everything. So the first thing to me, I noticed the number 2 receiver did his hand. He did something with his hand to kind of say, "Okay, ref, I'm off." Do you care about that, or are you going to put him where he is?
So unfortunately, many times when these receivers come out, they're looking back at their quarterback or looking at their sideline or whatever to try and look at different call or plays that are being called in and stuff like that. So many times, I mean, he glances over towards the sideline, but many times these guys will come and line up and point that they're off or they're on, and they may not be off or on.
Right, right.
So we don't allow them to just point and dictate whether they're off or on. Now, I'm not
Gotcha.
saying just because, I mean, if someone's kind of like in a no man's area and they point that they want to be off, and it really would make the formation legal, then go ahead and put that wide receiver off. And if it's really something that's, they're kind of on the cusp of being on or off and making it difficult for you, then after that play, run in there and talk to them and tell them they have to be off if they're going to be off or on if they're going to be on. So
Aha.
we try to use preventive officiating and just let the play go if they're kind of in a no man's area and then or a gray area, and then take care of it after the play.
Got you. I like what you just said. So you said you're going to make the formation legal. And on this one, we can clearly see we got a quarterback and a back next to him. So that's 2. The closest dude to you is further back. It appears to be further back than the number 2 receiver. So that's 3. And this is all 11 players in. So we got 2 tight ends. So to make this play legal, even if number 2 receiver is closer to the line of scrimmage, we would try to make this play legal, make this formation legal, or make him off, I guess is what we would say, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we have some, we've got some additional points that we will talk about in a minute that kind of helps us determine that stuff as well. But I want to touch briefly on the ball's being snapped at the 24-yard line here.
Okay.
And that number 2 receiver that's kind of in question on whether we're going to have him on the line of scrimmage or off the line of scrimmage, he's right at his toes might be right at a yard from the line of scrimmage.
Right.
And so what we say is that if he's within a yard of the line of scrimmage, then we have full reign to really either put him on the line of scrimmage or put him off to make the formation legal.
Uh-huh.
Let's say that this guy's lined up at his toes at the 22-yard line, and he's saying he wants to be on the line of scrimmage. Like, let's say he has to be on the line of scrimmage to make it legal, let's say.
Right.
But he's on the 22-yard line. Because he's 2 yards off the line of scrimmage, we don't have that luxury to put him up on the line of scrimmage.
Gotcha. So you say number 2, if his front foot is where his back foot is right now, then you don't really have the luxury to say, well, I can put him on or off to make the formation legal. Okay.
Correct.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Okay. All right. So what else? So what else? You said we're going to talk about something else on this play. So if we make this formation legal, then we would say that the tight end is not covered up on this play. We would say that we have the number 1 and number 2 receiver in the backfield, and obviously the quarterback and the back in the backfield. So those would be our 4. Do you count 4, by the way? Let me ask you that, Andy. Do you count 4? Is that how you determine formations?
Yes, because it becomes a foul if there's more than 4
right
people in the backfield, right? So, initially in my progression of my pre-snap routine, I'm counting 11 players every single time.
You do? I didn't know that. You count the offense?
Oh yeah, every single time.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. Okay.
So we want to make sure that as they're breaking huddles, if we have that luxury, which we don't really in our conference, but immediately when they're coming up to the line of scrimmage, we got to count 11 players every single time.
Okay. Okay.
And so that's part of our pre-snap routine, but it also makes it easier for us to recognize when there's 4 in the backfield or 5 in the backfield or whatever,
Yeah.
because we've already counted 11 players, you know.
Okay. So let's say I want to move him up just a little, just a smidgen. This number 2 dude. I want to maybe move him up. Let me use this one. I want to move his foot up to here.
Okay.
And then what you would then have is a clear and obvious 1, 2, 3 in the backfield. And then a maybe, a possible 4 in the backfield. And then you got this tight end dude sitting right here.
Yeah.
And remember, we moved him up a smidgen. So he's really kind of covering the tight end up-ish.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to make him in the backfield? Or what are you going to do then? Because then how are you going to handle that? Let me just stop there. I'll ask you, how are you going to handle that?
Okay, well, let's touch on the 2 points that I wanted to talk about, or that I mentioned that we talk about in a minute. So
Okay.
now we're at the point where we're going to talk about those. And my goal really is to make you, as a non-line of scrimmage official, sound as intelligent as other line of scrimmage officials. So
well, that's easy, because line of scrimmage officials aren't that smart. So that's easy.
Okay. So I'm going to have you, if you wouldn't mind, read out of the CCA manual, and we're talking about the 2021 CCA manual on page 27. So I make a real effort every year. You know, I mean, we spend all this time talking about water bucket rule plays and stuff like that, things that'll never happen in games. But what leads to the majority of our issues on the field is mechanical breakdowns and stuff. So I make it a point to make sure every year I've gone through all the pages of the CCA manual that pertain to my position. And I really like to learn about other people's positions as well. So it helps to read the whole book. But go to page 27, and we want to read number 4 under line of scrimmage. So Tuta, if you would like to read that for us, then I would appreciate it.
Yes, sir, Mr. Warner, sir. It says, don't be technical on an offensive player who is a wide receiver or slot back in determining if he is off the line of scrimmage. When in question, it is not a foul.
Okay, can you read that last sentence one more time for me?
When in question, it is not a foul.
Okay.
So what is it though? Let me ask you that question. Because if we slide him up a smidgen and he covers up the tight end, and we say, well, this dude is covered, the tight end is covered. Well, the wide receiver didn't commit a foul at all. The tight end will commit a foul if he goes downfield more than 3 yards prior to the pass, or if he touches a forward pass. So what does that mean when in question, it is not a foul? How do you interpret that?
So remember when you scooched his foot up, 6 inches or whatever, and you said he may be on the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
Okay. So he's not obviously on the line of scrimmage in your mind, and it can't be supported on film, right?
Right.
So if you wouldn't mind, can you read number 5 on that same page, please?
Okay. I feel like you're setting me up, but I'll read this. Wide receivers or slot backs lined up outside a tight end. So that's our dude number 2 here. Yep. Will be ruled on the line of scrimmage and covering the tight end if there is no stagger between their alignments. If in question, he is not covered up.
Okay, Can you read that last sentence for me?
All right, you were setting me up. Okay, Andy. If in question, he is not covered up.
Okay. So just because you said he may be on the line of scrimmage, in my mind, you are telling me that there's question in your mind as to whether he's on the line of scrimmage.
That's correct.
So really, if that number 2 receiver's at the, 23.5 yard line or encroaching on the 24, and, you're having a difficult time seeing that tight end, then put him on the line of scrimmage. Okay.
Yep.
But as we're going to see, and you and I were talking prior to starting this filming and stuff like that, but, this isn't a new formation that K-State's running in this game. Okay.
Right.
And running it consistently all throughout the game, and we haven't had issues with it all throughout.
Right.
But now if Tuta was to play this video, and he doesn't have to, but we're about 2.5 minutes left in the game, and now it becomes an issue in our mind, and we end up throwing a flag on this play and declaring this a foul and illegal. Right. So I was part of another training thing last weekend, and in another conference's video, there was another situation where this exact same thing happened.
Yeah.
And The officials didn't have a problem with it the entire game until it came down to the end, and they ended up taking away a game-winning touchdown.
Right.
When you're looking straight down the line, this can be kind of deceptive, right?
Yeah, because see, on the coach's tape, it didn't look this close. On this one, he looks like he's really close to covering this dude up.
Yeah, but I mean, this appears like it's a down the line, but actually, you know, and as crazy as this sounds, with all the cameras and stuff like that are out there nowadays, this is set back just a little bit from
Yes.
behind the line of scrimmage. So it makes this wide receiver appear like he's further up on the line of scrimmage or
Yes.
covering the tight end.
Yes, absolutely.
But like we said, if he's within a yard of where the ball is being snapped, we have a little bit of ability to put him where he needs to be to make the formation legal.
Yes. Yes. Huh. Okay, Mr. Andy Warner, you taught me something here. So, and what are some tips that you can give to line of scrimmage officials? Because I don't know, maybe people know it, maybe people don't. This is one of the teams that quote unquote play games with formations in our conference, and I know it has to be difficult by the end of the game, 2 minutes left in the game. I think this was play number 180. And you're trying to figure out the whole game. Is this dude on? Is he off? You know, who's covered up, who's not? Because a lot of times they'll cover up ineligible on purpose. So how do you maintain focus, and how do you continue to evaluate this stuff 180 plays in?
Well, if this is something that you're thinking rises to the level of foul, then it's risen to the level of a foul earlier in the game than 2.5 minutes left in the game.
Uh-huh.
So this is something that you need to talk to them and like early in the game about. Tell the offensive coordinator or whatever that you have warned the offense about a split receiver or a flexed receiver covering up a tight end.
Right.
You let it go, and you've warned them, and they need to address it.
Right.
So if it's something that really is on the cusp of like being a foul, or it is bothering you, then address it early on.
Right.
But by no means can you let this, and this is what we see far too often, is that guys will let this go through an entire course of a game. And you're going to see, like, if Tuto was to let this play out, the tight end goes downfield and a linebacker ends up covering him. I mean, they don't. Maybe it was a defensive back, but they know this guy's a receiver. You know?
Right. Right. It's not a secret.
No, he's been a receiver all game long.
Right.
You know? And especially every team runs the same types of plays all throughout the course of a game.
Right.
So what I'm trying to say is a little piece of advice is that if something is bugging you and you're on the edge of potentially ruling something a foul or not, you need to address it with the team. You need to take care of it and at least tell them that, tell the coaches that everyone's been warned and stuff like that before you just throw on this in the fourth quarter and you haven't addressed it all game long.
Yeah. Okay, let me throw one more scenario at you. Mm-hmm. Let's move our guy number 1 over here to this side of the field. And our guy number 2 is the number 1 now.
Yeah.
So now we have a double-doubles formation.
Yeah.
And we talked again about this dude here, and we're going to put him all the way up here. We're going to make him on. I'm just going to flat out tell you he's on, and there's no way you can make him off, and he's covering up that tight end. Is it incumbent upon you to throw a flag for this tight end? If we have same play, we're going to make this play exactly the same. The only thing different is the formation, where the number 1 is on the other side of the field, and this number 2 dude who becomes the number 1 is clearly on the line of scrimmage covering up the tight end. Whose responsibility is it to throw the flag for IDP and or ITP, illegally ineligible player downfield in the pass, or illegally touching a forward pass? Are you going to rely on one of the other officials to do that? Or are you saying, since I'm covering the tight end up with my judgment, I need to make sure whatever happens with the tight end, I'm aware of it?
Yeah. So kind of going back to the beginning when we were saying this doesn't change the way any other official officiates this, except for the person judging whether that split receiver is on the line of scrimmage or off.
Uh-huh.
He's the one that's going to be the determining official on whether that person is up or on. So he's also going to be the one that's going to have the responsibility for calling a foul if he determines that he is on.
Got
So
it.
basically, it just becomes a hanging foul, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
we've checkmarked in our mind that we have this hanging foul. And, I mean, because so many times, especially in today's day and age, like in the collegiate game and high school and all that stuff, this is a foul only if a pass crosses the line of scrimmage and he goes downfield, right?
That's correct. That's
And it has
correct.
to be touched beyond the line of scrimmage.
That's correct.
So, like if the defense is to knock a pass down or something like that, we're most likely not going to have a foul.
Yeah.
But so a pass that goes beyond the line of scrimmage and is touched beyond the line of scrimmage, we've already checked off in our mind that we have this hanging foul, and now we've waited. The pass has gone beyond the line of scrimmage. This tight end has gone more than 3 yards downfield, like you said. Then we will have a foul. But there's teams out there, and it's crossing all levels of football. Just like you were saying, there's some teams that really try to take advantage of things. And, we've seen tight ends that are purposely covered up, and they'll go downfield 2.5, 3 yards and just drag all the way across the field.
Right. And it's not a foul by rule, right?
Not a foul, and they're drawing the attention of linebackers or defensive backs. So they're really taking defenders out of the play, and they're not even an eligible receiver.
Right.
And so it's a good question that you have on who needs to be aware of this. And it's the official that is putting that split receiver up on the line of scrimmage. It just becomes a hanging foul, and he has to make sure that player has in fact gone 3 yards downfield before it becomes a foul.
Yeah. Wow. All right, Andy. Well, thank you so much for joining us and for breaking down this concept. Hopefully this helped out. We had a question about covered up players, and hopefully this is something that was proved to be beneficial for our virtual study groups members.
Well, it's a great question for someone to bring up, because as you can see, even at the highest level of collegiate football, it hasn't been called an entire game, and then we end up calling it here late in the game. So it's a great question, and we need to get a lot better at how we're officiating this. So,
yep. Thank you, Andy.
All righty, sir. Appreciate it.
Okay, let's talk. This is going to be 2 plays, and we have several angles, so it's cut a little bit weird, but we'll get through it. Obviously, the offense, center judge spots the ball, he's going to get out. That's normal. Now we throw a swing pass out, and I believe it doesn't matter what down and distance it was, because it's a good play. Result of the play is a first down. So here's what I want you guys to look at. Here's our umpire going right to the dead ball. Our center judge is way back here. So there's a lot of different philosophies, I guess, or thoughts or whatever. The center judge, we all know, crew of 8 is still relatively new in college football. So I just want you to watch, how we're going to handle this. Obviously the video cuts out of our control, but you could see the umpire was making a beeline. Here's the end zone view, coaches tape end zone, same play. So good play for the offense. They gained several yards. And look, you can see the umpire right here. All right. So we've got the umpire. His body language acts as if he's going to spot it. Okay. TV copy, fast forward to the end. Here comes the umpire. Umpire wants to spot this ball. Okay. And that's fine. Now we'll go to the next play. I just want to show the result. TV is going to show some replays. We'll get through this. So here's our high 50 of the next play. So what do you see immediately as the defense is approaching the ball? The umpire is trying to get out. The center judge is kind of back here. We see nothing in terms of, iron cross from the referee. Okay. So the situation is set up. Okay. Now we snap it pretty fast. Offense is playing fast. Another solid play. Good game. Let's go to the end zone view. Okay. Look at the umpire. So the umpire is trying to get out. The center is over the ball, just putting it back. Look, umpire's going to spot it. He's going to look this way to the referee. And you think the center is coached? He's already over the football. So now the umpire is trying to get out. And just when we kind of finally get back, not finally, that wasn't fair because it happens fast. But when we get back into our position, we're still taking this little left foot step back. The offense snaps it legally. Okay. So now we're going to watch and look, left guard, real quick and subtle. Left guard, left hand rips the helmet off of the defensive tackle. All right. Look, we missed it. I mean, whatever. It's a minor call. I mean, but obviously, I think would you guys agree? Let me put this out. Would you guys agree that if any official saw this anywhere on the field, and you saw the left hand grab the face mask, turn the helmet, and basically rip the helmet off, we would call that a foul? You guys agree with that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Sure. So this isn't a matter of judgment. It's not like, well, we saw this from whatever position you want to talk about, and we just decided to pass.
Well, I don't know, Brandon, because as I'm looking at it, I'm gonna be honest.
Okay. Okay, then if it is, here's the thing. We can put that to bed easily. I mean, this could be the quickest session in the history of pure officiating, because if a hand, see this? If you have the detail with your vision that a hand grabs a face mask, twists, turns, and the result is that the helmet is off of the defender, that's a solid call.
Well,
that
I agree with
that would
that.
meet a threshold of hand, illegal hands to the face.
No question. But all I'm saying is I'm wondering with his hand play, if his hand actually grabbed or did it, first of all, the video I don't think the video is so clear that we can tell if that's a grab or not. If it's a grab, I totally agree with you. There's no way that.
Okay, then what we need to do is move on from that. His left hand grabs the guy's face mask. Can we just go with that? I don't care what you think or what anybody thinks. Let's just assume that the left hand grabs the face mask. Okay? Because
okay.
We're not going to talk about judgment here. We're going to talk about just exchange ideas on mechanics, because the whole intent when we went to Crew of 8, the whole intent was to get this official, and whether it is or is not true now isn't important, but the intent originally was to get this official right here, the umpire, in position pre-snap to officiate the play from his position. And did it matter on this play that we're still backing up? I don't know, and I don't really care. That's my point. That's why I just want to drive by. You think it's a foul, you don't think it's a foul, the video's not good enough, you got this annoying upright in the way, I don't care. But, I mean, when we go back, is this, should center judges and umpires think about, is there a certain threshold or real estate where do we want the umpire to spot the football here? Could we use the center judge and kind of help the game flow in some kind of a way? I just want to put this out there to give people something to think about as you all progress into Crew of 8 mechanics. Okay, so I'll just kind of stop there. I think the gist of what I'm getting at is there. Don't care foul, no foul, but just did the umpire trying to hurry and spot this ball and then trying to hustle back to his position contribute to perhaps the fact that maybe he didn't see all the detail of this like he would hope to? See what I'm saying?
Well, so Kevin Boitman did a great one-on-one about this particular concept of dead ball and who spots, when should they spot, depending on where the ball is dead, where's the ball next going to be snapped, all of that kind of stuff. So I hate to give a shameless plug, but Kevin Boitman had a really great one-on-one session about this. In my opinion, I think the umpire should spot this ball. If we're talking about not slowing the game down, I think if the center judge spots this ball, we would actually slow the game down more than if the umpire spotted the ball. I know your question is not really about slowing the game down; it's more about officiating the play. But yeah, I think in my opinion, I think in this case, I would prefer the umpire to spot the ball and get out the way, similar to what he did on this particular play. And the reason why, if we're using this fouling action as the lens from which we have this discussion, we could have just as easily had the left tackle go hands to the face on the defender, and center judge
Yeah.
who would have been potentially looking at it missed it. So that really, I don't necessarily look at it from that lens.
Good. I'm
When
glad
we-
you said that. Okay.
When we
ahead, Danny.
started this whole center judge adventure, remember way back when, wasn't the initial impetus for this whole thing, part of it at least, so that the umpire would not have to do this and be in position ready to officiate when the ball was snapped? Wasn't that part of the thought process behind creating this position, to absolve the umpire of having to be in this situation?
I don't know if it was that
Yes.
or,
Yeah.
well, was it that
No.
and in
Oh, no,
combination
no.
with not slowing
You
the game
can
down?
stop. You can stop. You can stop that.
So it
It
had nothing
was
to do with not
absolutely-
slowing the game down?
Sure, it helped with game flow when we can allow a position to give up pre-snap responsibilities. You know,
Not just
but
pre-snap
I guess
responsibilities, getting the ball ready.
I'm going
for the
a
next-
step further. I'm going a step further with the discussion, because pre-snap responsibilities, it's not what we're talking about. Are you ready to officiate live ball action? And you know, the issue, yes, Daniel, was that we wanted the umpire in position to officiate not only pre-snap, but be ready to officiate the live ball, because we were missing so many obvious calls within, quote unquote, the responsibility of the umpire. Now, but I want to take it another way. I don't know if this really is the responsibility of the umpire. All right. So I want to go a different way with it. And I think that we can all use our mechanics here. Here's what I want to talk about. Here's what I want to talk about. If you're the center judge and you know the umpire is spotting football, then just do a role reversal. So I'm going to support Tuta, what you're talking about, while disagreeing with myself all at the same time. Okay, so if you know, if as a center judge, the umpire is doing this, backing out, then you know you have to start inside.
To help,
Right?
yeah, for overlap, you're saying.
Yes.
Yeah,
Do
yeah.
not, and we shouldn't ever, but especially if the umpire was the one who spotted the football. Don't just say, well, I don't know, I was on the left tackle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know,
That's actually
so
a good point, because the umpire did not have a chance to go through his pre-snap routine on this play, because all he had a chance to do was put the ball down and get out. So he didn't count the offense. He didn't really map out the defense. He doesn't really know. I mean, I'm gonna guess he's gonna know. I'm gonna start on this matchup that's closest to the A gap. But he really didn't have a chance to really have a pre-snap routine, to your point.
he and not of his, it's not any of his fault, but he pretty much watches this player catch the ball.
Right.
And we do want umpires moving their vision with the ball. But I think all of this contributes to the fact that there is, when we're spotting and trying to get out like this, whether it's the umpire or the center judge, we are just going to be in a less optimal visual setup to process any detail of anything. And so that's, you know, why I wanted to bring this up and talk about just different mechanics from especially these positions, but you could apply it to any position. And I mean, also to tell, like, the center judge is way too wide here, you know, so really we have no chance for many contributing factors to get this foul and see this foul, if it indeed is a foul, whatever, don't care about that. We really don't have a chance to see the detail of this at all with this setup and the umpire trying to escape back here and then really just smooth pursuit officiating this play, watching the football go into this guy's hands. You know, so, okay, I'll stop there. I put a lot out there for you guys that I just wanted to use this as a two-play sequence to let people think about different things.
So what do you, other than advocating for the center judge to understand that, look, the umpire is going to need help, let me alter my normal not pre-snap, directly after the snap visual mechanics a little bit for some overlap.
Yep.
What else are you advocating? Are you advocating anything with the spotting of the ball? Or are you really only talking about?
I'm advocating preparation because I think that if I'm fine with the umpire spotting this, but again, it just goes to the center to be more prepared, to be in a much better pre-snap position.
Right.
understanding you've got both of these matchups, okay? Because some of our center judges still think they've only got the outside man.
Right.
Or saying as a center judge, look, I'm the center judge, Mr. Umpire. I know you like to spot the ball. Just why don't you just get back in your pre-snap position? I'll take the football. I'll just take the football. And I know that's not practical 100% of the time, but I do think it is practical 98% plus of the time, even on this play. I've seen center judges spot this ball. I think we're getting away from that now. But if we're going to get away from that now, then we've got to prepare, next level on how to
Right.
handle this, because we obviously missed this action with any degree of detail from both positions.
Right.
So that's where I'm going. I'm not saying one way or the other. I just think that, look, center judge, if you want to get to and spot the football, get and spot the football so that the umpire can be locked in and be focused with detail here. Umpire, if you're going to spot this football, center judge, expand your vision and be sure you start in the A gap and then work your way out. Work both of these matchups.
So the long awaited return of
Oh,
the
boy.
VSG randomizer nader. Let's go. Let's see what conference we're going to have. We're going to go to the Big South, and this is in the spring. Wait
Right.
a minute. We had a Big South game. Remember they had a play where we covered a play from a bunch of different aspects. We had an out of bounds UNR and a back judge.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, what game? Who was it? Was that Campbell? Whatever. Anyway,
I remember.
what week? We are going to week 8. Mr. Daniel Akori, can y'all let me know how many games are in week 8 of the Big South Spring Conference?
I show that there was only one game in week 7.
Uh-oh.
Does that mean we go to week 7, or did Doofenshmirtz
I think
already?
Doofenshmirtz is in trouble.
All right.
Are you serious, Corey?
Yeah, that's the only thing that shows up. I mean, unless there's some other tab for just spring games that I'm not seeing.
Yes, there is. It says under 2021 spring or something like that?
2021. Go to the 2021 folder.
Yeah, it's Monmouth versus Kennesaw State.
Oh, it's only one game?
One game. That's
Oh,
what I'm showing.
okay. Well, how many plays? We'll skip all this madness and go straight to the plays.
155 plays.
So Doofenshmirtz got lucky.
Yeah.
No, Doofenshmirtz is very intelligent. This dude is really smart. He's an evil genius.
He
I'm
doesn't
telling
get lucky. It's
you. No, he
all-
doesn't get lucky at all. It's all skill and intelligence.
How do we figure out? Oh
Uh-oh.
boy.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
I'm out.
That
Hello,
can't.
Doofenshmirtz.
That's not an actual number.
Oh,
Oh.
Doofenshmirtz is in trouble.
Oh,
I'm
my
gonna do
God.
this. Let's see
What?
Doofenshmirtz. Oh, look at Doofenshmirtz. He's back.
Doofenshmirtz comes back. Did he just save the world?
Back.
Yeah, he just saved the world.
Play number 67. So
So here we go. This is going to be.
what let's say a trivia note. My nephews went to Kennesaw State University for a short,
Oh,
brief period of
cool.
time. Kennesaw State University is right outside of Atlanta, Georgia.
All right. Here we go.
Hold on.
Play 60.
Slow down, slow down.
I'm good. Look at this. The
I
number
know.
7 and the number 20 team in the country are playing. And I'll tell you what, number 20 is putting it on them at 4:41 to go in the second quarter.
So 3rd and 2.
What do you see here? Look at the formation. What do you
I
see?
know that's what I'm looking at. It's very interesting. This halfway looks like one of those wing T formations.
Looks
Not
like a
wing T. What
yeah.
do you call it?
Not the wing team.
Like an Air Force type. What is Air Force
an
run?
inverted
Scott.
wishbone type thing.
Wishbone.
Yeah.
But not with wide receivers.
Yeah.
Well, the two
Usually they
wing
got
backs.
tight ends. For wishbone, usually they had tight end. Yeah.
Okay, anyway, so we got 3 down linemen on defense with 2 dudes crowding. There's a lot of interesting stuff could happen on this play, especially if we have a pass route, which we likely won't have, I would assume, just because it's 3rd and 2,
Well,
midfield-ish.
Didn't we? Was it last week, Daniel? You were talking about communicating the status of these wingbacks.
yes.
Yeah, we did talk about that last week.
So that's important.
Yep.
I think we can pretty safely see, even from the sideline, I would hope the line of scrimmage officials would see that both backs are in. And I would hope that the referee and center judge both could also tell
Yeah.
that too, because those dudes are pretty much behind the tackles.
Yeah.
Right.
And this is one of
And
those
we have that.
situations where this is such a consistent part of their offense that we should know going into the game what this is going to look like. You know, what there may be an outlier here or there, but as a general rule, this is how they're going to line up, I would imagine. And so we'll know that going into the game. So, you know, we can certainly still communicate it, but it's going to be super fast and just efficient.
Right.
With a hash to tell us, you know, that a whole original position of the ball. So we have a
Okay.
hash to help us out with that.
Right.
I guess the wide receivers, Corey, what are you thinking here? Deep wing, whatever side, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's a split end, so I mean, nobody's pressed, so this is kind of a good place to be as a deep wing. You got to get, no pressing to deal with. You can kind of take a peek inside and get a better idea of play recognition off the top. So, but like Daniel said, 3rd and 2, you're probably, or Tutas said 3rd and 2, you're probably thinking run, especially out of this type of formation. But you never know. But you
Never know.
never know.
All right.
So hold on, Brandon. Hold on.
Okay,
So
okay.
if we look at the alignment of the umpire, one of the things that we always talk about umpires, if you're going to give up one of the guards, give up the left guard because of the help. This is for crew of 8. Crew of 8. I'm sorry. Let me be specific. Crew of 8. If you're going to give up one of the guards, give up the left guard. But you need to make sure you can see the ball and the 2 guards, and if possible, give up the left guard and see the ball, the snapper, and the right guard for
Right.
pre-snap action. And it looks like that umpire is shading to the left and giving up the left guard potentially, as he would be looking through the linebacker to see the left guard.
Yeah, really good point. Okay. Hey, what happened? I don't know. Maybe this is just my OCD. See this? Why is he down here? Any idea? I don't know either. This would not be the half that our line judge is. Maybe this is being filmed. No, the mascot's looking at us the right way. Okay,
Yeah.
we'll move on from that. No big deal. You ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go. Maybe.
Oh,
Okay.
wow. So just like we thought, this was one of these weird, like this Air Force type of offense.
Yep.
Veer.
Veer. Yeah.
Really
Veer
good.
option.
Really good. Referee should just have all that seal into the middle of the line. Umpire, see, and I don't know, what do we want our umpires? We do a lot of this with our hand up in the air because we're just going to start picking on them since we have nothing else to talk about in this play. But what is that what we want relative to umpires at the end of the play? Are we wasting energy with that? Is that important? What are you guys' thoughts on that?
I personally don't have a problem with that. I think if he sees the ball dead and it's clearly dead, I think he can give the dead ball signal. I don't have an issue with that.
Okay.
You prefer not for him not to be doing that, Brandon?
I don't have an opinion either way. I just know some do and some don't. So I always wondered why. Maybe it has to do with where the ball becomes dead.
Yeah. Let's pick on the back judge while we have a good look at him. Let's see what he does. Because he has plenty of space. Corey laid out about the 2 wide receivers not being pressed. The back judge really doesn't have an initial key. And great job. He didn't move a muscle. Love it.
Yeah, he literally stood there.
Yeah.
These types of offenses are things that can be a trap for deep officials because we get kind of lulled to sleep because there's not much of a passing game. And so I found when you work games, with like an Air Force type of offense, you got to do a lot of pre-snap talk to yourself and really get into it because it's just, you see a lot of these. You see a lot of the dives up the middle and you can easily get trapped into, just, zoning out. And that's obviously not something we want to do. So, on a play like this as a deep wing, especially if we don't have that press, and we talked about this at our New Orleans camp specifically, when you have this would be a good opportunity to kind of take that peak to the second level because there's nothing going on with our initial keys. And so this is one of those times where if we can get to the second level and start to help with that, especially with all these crazy blocks that happen in this type of an offense, I think this is a probably a model type of situation where we could do that.
You know, if I was the center judge after this play, I would hope that I would have had a good idea of what happened with that block with the left guard.
Yeah.
Because that's a potential for a chop block setting up. Obviously, nowhere near a chop block. There was no block high at all. But obviously, the left guard fired out low, and the left tackle easily could have went down high, could have blocked down high. But I would love to know, okay, how did that left guard end up on the ground? How did he contact the defender? I would want to know that after this play was over.
Yeah, and then, I'm not an umpire expert, obviously, but the question I would ask our umpire here is, what makes you want to take a crossover step to your right?
Yeah.
Maybe it is absolutely just meaningless to the whole scheme of everything that we're trying to do. But, and then we back out immediately. And I get there's some circumstances there with players that get up on us. But just something, if we're moving with a purpose, is there a
Why
reason
step forward and then
why step
right
forward
back
with your
up?
left foot?
Right.
Yeah.
The machine had to get reset, man. Oh, we just did the Big South. We're not doing the Big South again. But that's actually fall Big South. Colonial. Okay, we can do the Colonial. James Madison.
Oh,
Richmond. Week 9. Colonial week 9.
this has got to be the spring then, right?
No. Oh, yes.
Really?
Oh,
Wow.
yes. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. I'm sorry. You're right.
Yes.
You got 2 games that week.
2 games.
I feel like the randomizer is supposed to tell us it's the spring season.
Well,
Well, it does sometimes, but it doesn't always do it.
Gotcha.
Let's ease up on Dr. Doofenshmirtz. How many plays? Second game.
Villanova at Delaware, 179 plays.
We did 2
we
plays
did
from this
play.
game.
Yes, we did. There was a targeting catch.
That's correct.
Play
Play 28. Here we go. Look at that. Dr. Doofenshmirtz is back.
Here we go. Another big time game. If you look at this, is Delaware.
Numero
Number 1.
uno, brother.
Wait, what? Wow. Was that well known? Because I feel like at the end of the year, there was clearly a number 1 team in the country.
There was one national champion. That's correct.
No, well, there was. That's true.
Walked right into that one.
You did.
Delaware is number 1, up 3-0 over Villanova, who's number 10. First quarter, 4:33. Look at this. 3rd and 8 at the minus 31.
Can I complain about the left tackle? Is it time for me to do that yet? Because I do that once a series. I mean a session, I believe.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can
What do
I
you see here?
complain? Can we get him up on the line, please? All right, that's all. I'm done.
Yeah, he's set. I thought maybe there was a chance he was still getting set.
No,
Um,
he's
now
where
the
he
rule is
I know
shoulders
what the rule is. I know.
approximately parallel thereto, or something like that. The line of scrimmage.
Oh,
Alive. This has got to be pushing that rule, I would say.
I didn't even think about that, Brandon. That's a good point.
I mean, look at this.
Yeah, his shoulders
I don't
are
know what angle
almost
you
45
need to have.
degrees.
At some point, we're going to get into acute versus obtuse angles here if we're not careful. So we need to really manage these. And I know we've got a lot of requirements on our line of scrimmage officials, a ton, pre-snap, and certainly with the RPO that we've all been talking about. But let's not forget this responsibility either. This is just an obvious passing situation, wouldn't you say? And what's the left
Yes.
tackle trying to do competitively?
Get back.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Doesn't our camera angle push him back a little bit?
It does, but I'm not
Yes,
sure
it
it messes
does.
with this angle of his shoulders.
Well, don't. Oh, you're talking about the angle, yeah.
Yeah. The camera angle will push him back a little. He's pretty. There's a chance he's pretty egregious. Where do you want to go next?
Pre-snap. Let's talk about pre-snap from each of the different positions, I guess.
Okay.
I know from a defensive matchup standpoint, this is weird.
Yeah.
We have the nose guard with his hands on the ground. Then we have the left defensive end with his hands on the ground. And then we have 4 dudes standing up. So
It's weird to see nobody in this circled area.
I know. I would assume some of those,
Very weird.
1 or 2 of those dudes are going to drop out. but we don't know
Yes.
which ones are going to drop out. So we really have to kind of figure out which ones are going to be our matchup, like really quickly.
Well, here's what we should think about.
Okay.
Center judge referee position. No possible way to be surprised if there's a blitz here.
Right.
Okay, there's going to be pressure. Okay, let's just make sure that we understand. Guess what? There's going to be pressure here. And look, all of these players could drop back, every single one of them, and that's fine. But if we're just thinking to ourselves, there is going to be pressure on this play. You know, now, yes, we're still talking blocks and matchups, but just give yourself the freedom to transition quicker to a new threat to the quarterback, perhaps, than just staying on a block. As if Tutai was like maybe it's this guy, and this guy, and they're the only three rushing. Well,
Right.
then as like a referee, I'm going to stay on this matchup a lot longer
That's correct.
because there's only three. But if there's six coming like this, potentially, I'm just going to give myself the mental freedom to transition to new threats faster.
Yep. Yep.
All right. Okay, obviously two press coverage. You've got I don't know what this guy is. He's over the top here. Do you even worry about this guy at all, Corey? Or maybe even Daniel, relative to talking back judge, deep wing, and you've got double formation. Do you worry about the guy back here, or are you only worried about the press coverage?
Well, I mean, you're obviously focused on the press coverage initially, but when I see this, I assume that what number 2 is going to do. So the guy in press, he's going to try to reroute that guy into an area where the second defensive back, I think is number 11 there, where his responsibility is. And so if a guy's going to try to reroute a receiver, that's when they're going to get real handsy, and they're going to, are they going to grab, or are they just going to kind of push them and guide them in the direction they want to go to get that over the top coverage. And so that's the only thing I would be thinking about in that regard. But, my primary focus is going to be on number 2. And then obviously with this type of offensive formation from an offensive key, we're going to let these guys declare on both sides of the ball, even up top. While there's a little bit of a split there, we would consider that a bunch or a stack even.
I like that. And I would hope, and I'm not exactly 100%, but here's how I would hope to prepare this kind of formation. So whichever half we're in relative to wherever the line of scrimmage officials are, okay, whether you're here or you're here, just be prepared to perhaps, instead of being too worried about that back, maybe just add a little value to this, like Corey just mentioned, this split, this stack, this bunch, whatever you call it. Let them declare, but maybe our line of scrimmage officials could add some value to whatever happens here. So you see what I'm saying, Corey? And I don't know, do you guys ever talk? Maybe, hey man, I know you got the back, but golly, if we could have just a little bit more support from the line of scrimmage with your vision. I don't know if you've ever got into that conversation or not here.
We had my line of scrimmage partner and I last year, we had this exact same type of conversation. I asked him, I was like, when you see a press, and we have both of our receivers in close proximity, I asked him, do you stay there a little bit longer in case there is some type of a grab or a jab to the face that maybe I can't see from an angle? And he said, oh, absolutely. I can get to that. I have plenty of time to get to my back if he's my responsibility. But I'm going to, give it an extra second or so off that initial surge off the line of scrimmage.
Yeah. And we've got, this is crew of 8. Well, actually it's not. There's not only is there no linebackers here, there's no umpire either. This is crew of 7. So, but I still think with crew of 7 umpire in the backfield, we've got the pocket area pretty much covered. I would hope that as the line of scrimmage official, just add value to the passing game with the 5 eligible receivers, especially the 2 in this case that are pressed. And, if you can transition back to some tackle blocks, that's great eventually. But I think the referees and umpires are pretty much going to handle those. All right. Anything else you want to talk about pre-snap?
Nope. That's it.
All right, let's see what happens. 3rd and 8, -31. Okay,
Of course.
got some smoke. What's your pattern that you're reading there, Daniel, just based on the, what you're seeing from the receiver and number 17 on defense?
I mean, just from the body position of the receiver, I mean, the defender and the receiver's reaction to his body position, I'm automatically thinking right now there's grabbing going on the inside by 17.
Yeah. Number 17 is clearly not playing the football.
And
Not
it
that
may
that-
not be a grab. What it really looks like is a potential pin where he just pins the inside arm down of the receiver.
Yeah, a little trash talk. Okay, we have a flag down.
Oh,
Yep, we have a
that
flag.
goes all over. Good.
Well, got a field judge coming in. I'm not sure who the official the field judge is talking to is.
That's
That's
a
too tight.
line
Okay, you know what I'm gonna. Referee, let's get over into this. I mean,
Yes.
I just feel like we need to be engaged in this conversation. Not saying anything, not really saying anything, but I think where we and maybe I'm the only one because I keep seeing this, all this space in between what's actually happening to administer the game and really the person who is charged. Sorry, but the guy in the white hat's charged with administering the game. Let's just eliminate that space, get over there and be an active participant. I know we had our COVID protocols and golly, we still might, I have no idea, but at some point I want to close that gap and get more engaged in this conversation. Because as this just carries on, it's a little bit awkward. And now we report.
Right. From a
It's
distance.
really awkward. I'll tell you
Yeah.
what, I don't know a blessed thing about being a referee, but I can watch a football game.
Yeah.
That referee is just standing there, and inevitably, either you'll see him like this or they'll do an ISO on him. And it's so weird. It's just a disinterested presentation.
It's weird.
Bizarre.
It is. And he's not disinterested. There's no referee in the country that would say, yeah, I was pretty disinterested in that. But you're right. It honestly gives that impression. So, man, perception becomes reality. Okay, and now we're going to go, look at this. We got holding. Okay. Holding on the defense. And now we're going to go first down. And I feel like, everything would be there for a first down. Video skips here just a little bit. Get to the replay. Okay. So obvious contact. We're not going to get. Let's see what other angles we have.
This could be
Relative to just the timing. I don't care about the grab versus whatever, if it's enough. I don't care about that. But think about this relative to the timing, and then we go holding. What do you think is our decision-making process to arrive at holding?
Well, they must have thought that, it looks like the line of scrimmage official throws the flag. And, if we're using our that process here, but that ball's out awfully quick. By time you get back, I was trying to do that just on video, and you see the action. By the time I look back at the quarterback, the ball's being released, or has been released, sorry. And I think if we, I know Daniel and you and I have talked about this two-step process for, over a year now, for 49 straight sessions. If we have full buy-in to this two-step process, boy, it sure does make it a lot easier when it comes to DH versus DPI, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. And then let me go into a little bit of uncharted territory for us. And let's just talk about the process of coming to a judgment. I don't know about you, Corey, but for us, when we're calling holding, we're really looking for it to be materially restrictive, right? There's got to be, and typically what I see, tell me if you disagree, but what I see is it could be in the feet of the receiver to where he loses some kind of momentum or a step. It could be restrictive in the upper body where you can see a jerk or a receiver either pulled back or just kind of stalled in his shoulders as he's running. And then I would say the third option could be like the slingshot that we see a lot of times where he pulls himself up from a holding perspective. The reason I'm saying that is because oftentimes when a ball is in the air and a receiver's inside arm is being restricted, it could be a pin, it could be a grab, and that's a foul for a grab and restrict defensive pass interference. Are you tracking with me so far? But oftentimes that same action with a receiver and a DB running down the sideline does not rise to the level of the foul because it doesn't impede a receiver anyway. Because we'll see slap hand, hold the hand down for a step and a half, and then the ball's in the air and the receiver is able to go make a play on the ball. So not necessarily commenting on what we did or didn't see here, because who knows? It's tough to really see the details of the action. But I think that's something to think about when we're also making that decision between DPI and DH, where if we're pinning the arm and the ball's not in the air, most of the time, I don't know if that's going to rise to the level of material restriction for calling DH. And he could have grabbed his arm with both hands here and pull him back. Maybe that's what happened, and I'm just not, seeing it. But to me, it looks like the receiver is potentially restricted right there at the end when he's trying to go get the ball. So I guess what I'm saying is, if we're calling this pinning the arm down and the ball's not in the air, and then the ball's in the air and we don't have anything else, well, that may not look real good to our naked eye, but that's probably DH probably isn't where we want to go with that. Does all that make sense, Corey? Anything you want to help me clarify or
100%. Like
pick apart?
for restriction for a DH versus DPI, I mean, I think you laid it out perfectly. And I mean, for me, I look for almost like the receiver hit a slow motion button. Like all of a sudden his legs aren't going where he needs to, or his body's, contorted in a funky way. I mean, that shows to me restriction. And so, I think if there's any type of restriction on this play alone, it happens early in terms of DH. Now, we're not going to get into the rights and wrongs of it. So, but I think that's the only, right where Brandon's got it frozen there. I think that's the only point where we could possibly have that type of stutter step or anything like that. But, I think that, what we're trying to get across here to all five of us that work the passing game, you need to look at the reaction of the receiver in relation to the action by the defender. So don't just say, oh, he grabbed his arm. Well, what did that grabbing of the arm cause the receiver to do? Did he stumble? Did he slow down? Did he lose a step? Did he, bend sideways? I mean, we have to take it further. Don't just see the grab and think that we have a foul.
So I love that the field judge, he came in with some urgency to come talk to the line of scrimmage official. Apparently, he maybe had a different look. I would have loved for the back judge to come in with some urgency as well, because I think he would have had maybe an even better look at what was happening with that inside arm, because that could really is the only place that we really could have a foul. It's with that inside arm. There's nothing happening with the outside arm. The right arm is free of the defender. So the right arm of the receiver, the left arm of the defender is the only place where we could possibly even have anything that resembled a foul. So I would have loved to see the back judge come in with some urgency as well. You can see the field judge coming in now. Hold on.
He's on his 0-2-0.
Yes.
Chasing the line judge down.
And I love that. I mean, we
Yeah.
talked to a lot of the deep guys at our camp this summer.
Absolutely.
When you see a flag come in the action that you're officiating, you better go right to that official. And because it's not that official's responsibility to come to you, it's our responsibility to get to them. And so, I'd like to, obviously we don't know what the conversation was here, but I'd like to think the field judge is talking not only about, hey, I didn't see that as restrictive, or maybe he did. And he's thinking, okay, do you think is this DPI? When was the ball out? Maybe that's something that the line judge didn't process. And maybe that's something that led to the length of the conversation that they had.
Good point. You saw a big conversation in terms of time go on. And, it's like, I think a lot of us are now used to, you throw a flag out here, I mean, we're going to spin around and we want a preliminary signal right here, right?
Yes.
And we walk all the way back this way. So just something to think about now, what caused us mentally to feel the need to walk or jog until we finally, oh, damn it. I'll edit this. Until we finally, gave that or started our reporting process. And maybe we're just not used to giving a preliminary signal yet based on whatever, our training, our background is. But really just kind of an interesting psychologically to think about on what on the surface appears to be an okay judgment, but then did we process it properly? And then when we talked with our crew, did we go through everything we needed to go through? What happened to our preliminary signal? Why is the back judge not involved in this? This is really a pretty good play to break down for this crew and anybody working, like you said, Corey, these 5 perimeter positions.
I agree. I mean, this is a good one. You can talk about communication amongst the crew, what you're looking at, because this was a switch, so who was there a switch? Was there, who stayed on the second receiver coming out? Because when that play first started, I thought the the trail receiver was going to pick off that DB, which he didn't, but that was what my antenna went up for first. And, besides the grabbing up front.
And really, this is the line judge side of the field. Obviously, this is where the back judge is going to start pre-snap. So really would just expect to have a very, solid opinion about kind of how this all evolves once the ball's in the air.
Brandon, did the umpire give three fingers or two fingers just now?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Can we see the next play? See what is
Oh yeah.
what?
Okay.
He just did it. He just did it.
Say that again.
Did he give three fingers or two
Oh,
fingers to
right.
the line of scrimmage at the bottom?
2.
Okay. All right. Scared me. I thought he gave three because then I was going to
Well.
say, whoa,
As we've talked, let's make sure we're good. So minus 31,
to the 40.
position 1.
Yep.
Remember that, position 1. So where did we start the next play? Yeah. Oh, sorry. There we go. Position 1 minus 41. So
Perfect.
so nailed the penalty enforcement
Yep.
based on what was reported. Very good job.
All right, Dr. Doofenshmirtz, you get one more chance. Let's see what you got here. We just did the Colonial. What's going on with Dr. Doofenshmirtz's machine? Let's try one more time.
Nothing about it that's random.
OVC. Brandon, did you or did you not work in the OVC? You worked in every conference in the world.
Every conference in America.
No, I don't even think I've ever worked in an OVC team. Give me the teams. Who are the-
Stick
who's
around. No, you have worked the OVC team. Your first ever game was OVC. Is
What?
it Northern Iowa in the OVC?
No.
What are they in?
That's an insult to the Missouri Valley Conference. First of all,
Missouri.
You got
Okay.
one game in week 6 in the Ohio Valley.
Okay, one game. Is this spring or fall, Corey?
Well, this is fall. Did OVC play spring ball as well?
Probably, but that's good because it doesn't say spring, so that means yes, they did play spring, but we're gonna default to fall.
wow.
Okay, and then how many plays in that one game?
Well, it's split into 2 different. Hang on, I was going to check the.
Oh gosh, Dude, this is gonna be too much for Dr.
Well, yeah,
Doofenshmirtz.
too many variables.
There's a total of 180 plays.
80.
Looks like they split it into first half, second half.
All right, Doc, let's see what you got.
Hopefully it's
Play
90.
6. Oh, we were at the beginning of the game. Play 6. Look at this formation.
Yeah.
Now we're having fun.
Trips left. Okay, we got to do the down and distance on our own because we don't have the convenient. Looks like it's
Say first and 10.
something at 10.
First
First
and
and
10.
10.
I would go with first and 10, yeah.
Okay.
We're on the B
So-
side of the field.
So Daniel, I don't know. I literally do not know. Do you like basically kind of lining out like this, or do you shift over at all towards this hash when you've got trips this way, or no?
I do. I shift over. I mean,
Okay, how far?
it's hard to say, Brandon. A little bit of it is a feel, but I certainly. So 2 things. The first thing is, I think there are still some pockets out there where we're just married to this idea of the middle of the field, and I know where it comes from. It comes from the idea that we have to officiate sideline to sideline when the ball is in the air, and that's absolutely true. But that doesn't mean we have to stay here. Look, just get in. We just, as back judges, want to put ourselves in a position to officiate the play. For me, that means shading over closer to this, about to the hash, depending on how this DB here at the, the 34-yard line, how he obstructs me. But there's a ton of space, even if he's in my way. So I'm going to scoot over close to the hash personally.
Looks like our deeps are staying, Corey, pretty rigid to the 20-yard,
Yeah.
methodology. And I know that you have had some discussion, especially throughout our camps, breakouts, things like that, about some of your preferences. Maybe I don't know if this would be a play to outline those or no.
Absolutely. I mean, we went over it, and, I don't think it's very well known out there, but I've started this is probably 2, 3 years ago. I started at 20, I started going to 25 yards. And, yes, the book says 20 to, 20 to 22, whatever. But I think that for me anyway, 25 just gives us that extra little bit of cushion that, most plays we don't have to move because, yeah, you're going to get your random 9 routes that take you down the sideline, sure. But by and large, most plays are going to be, 17 yards or less. And by starting that with that level of depth, we can achieve our goal of stationary a lot more oftentimes than not. So I like it. It gives me good cushion. It also lets me know, okay, I'm 25 yards away from the line of scrimmage, and I'm also 20 yards away from my low blocking zone. And so those are the 2 yard lines that I'm always saying out loud. So in this play, I would say, 44, 39. Those are my 2 yard lines that I need to have, kind of banked in my memory if I need them. So it's just, if when you start this shallow, I guarantee you once we hit play, the first step by that top deep wing is going to be backwards.
Corey, do you find yourself, let's say you're at the top of the screen versus the bottom of the screen. You obviously have a whole lot of space at the top. Does that affect your physical movement versus your visual movement? Like at the bottom, if you started 25, or 20, wherever you decide to start, is your physical movement going to be affected by the type of coverage that you're dealing with from a
Yes.
visual perspective?
Yes. So if I'm the deep wing at the top, I'm probably not going to move because I've got space. I've got a chance for better play recognition by looking in at a guard or a tackle.
Yep.
But if I'm at the bottom, I've got to have, pretty much laser focus on those 2 players, and I won't have a chance. So I will probably take that a read step or 2
Yeah.
as that play starts.
When he steps, you step, huh?
Correct.
Yeah.
All right. Corey's reputation is on the line based on what the deep official at the top does once we press play.
So this is a crew of 7 with the umpire in the backfield as well.
There you go.
Yep.
What do you see?
Very first thing he does.
Started here, and we're already, and at least for me, although I'm athletically gifted, but for me, this is going to be a pretty hard backpedal right away. You
Yep.
can already tell that we're gaining steam here. Interesting. So you called it,
Yeah,
Corey?
at that point, you're just moving. I mean, you're not.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially in this formation. I mean, the odds that all 3 of those receivers come straight out is pretty low. So we'll probably have some switching and some crossing that we won't.
Especially on 1st and 10.
Right. We won't be visually acute as we're moving. So that's, another reason to go a little bit deeper.
And you can already see, I mean, even from this look, it appears like this man's job is to block. Obviously, this is a route looking back for the football, and maybe this is too.
And now the question is he going to stop moving? Because that's another thing.
Right.
Once we start, we don't stop. We just keep backpedaling for no reason.
Right. And I mean, let's just go back. So I guess from your recognition, you talked about mapping the line in your 5, which is important for obvious reasons, a lot of different rules and big time fouls. Now, when you notice that these players go this hard downfield, well, your pre-snap mapping has paid dividends because you don't even have to honestly think about it and just tell me where I'm wrong, Corey, but you already would know that this player is going to catch the ball. If he catches the ball, he's going to catch the ball downfield.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
So Corey, let me ask you this question. Now, Brandon, go back to where you were.
I'm sorry.
As the block was setting up, if you're working like Corey set up, right here is good. If you're working like Corey talked about, and you're not moving, now Corey, you're recognizing this screen action that we always see: bubble screen, slip screen, all those type of screens all do the same crap. You see the number 1 dude is about to catch the ball. You see the number 2 dude is about to block. How much do you care about the catch versus how much do you care about the block?
As close to 0 as possible, and when it comes to caring about the catch. So
Right.
we've got line of scrimmage guy, we've got the umpire if we're in the crew of 8. Back judge will have a look. Heck, the 2 officials at the bottom of the screen can help, but that block has got to be our sole priority at this point in the play.
Yep. Because you could be the only one working that block, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
I mean, I always officiate a block as if I am the only one working a block. I mean,
Right, right.
That's a really good takeaway. I think especially on this scheme, which, like you said, Tutai, is so prevalent. Okay, and look what happens. This guy we were really worried about, drive by. Nothing. Nothing. No contact whatsoever. But that's okay. I hope, it's like, oh, what a waste of a play to break down. No. You just heard Corey's step by step, right? Process to work this because this could have easily, and we all, as this is taking place, the potential for this number 2, this head pin guy ready to block. And so now we know exactly how to work this.
Well, not only that, Brandon, let's go a step further, Corey. And this is almost like a one-on-one with Corey, which I love.
Right.
Dude at the bottom, you're deep wing at the bottom. You can tell when the ball gets snapped, he's not about to do anything.
Yep.
How far do your eyes go to the other side of the field? Do you try the second level in the middle of the field, or do you jump all the way over to the other side of the field to work whatever action is over
I
there?
just start going outside in and I start working what I think could be a threat. I'm not going to jump immediately over to the top of the screen because we have people over there.
Yeah.
I'm just going to start working my way inside. And
Yeah.
we have to know where our initial key was, but you can tell like a receiver is going to let you know if the ball's coming his way or not.
That's right.
I mean, this guy's just going through the motions. So,
right.
Another part of the pre-snap.
Oh, see, the 76. I'm sorry to cut you off, Corey.
No, you're
76 left tackle or left guard, whatever he is. Are you seeing him run into the pile?
That's it.
Yep.
That's it.
That's where you got to be.
And you could get that from all the way on the other side of the field. You could be the only one who catches that if we deem that to be a personal foul, which I'm not saying this is a personal foul, but
Forget
we
about
could
it. We got
be
to
the
see.
only one to get. Yes.
We
Yes.
have to see this.
And that would be a 60-yard flag to throw. Because if we're the deep wing at the bottom and we say, oh, I was watching 19 in red. I had 19. Well, what the hell are you doing? I mean, that's a waste, a complete waste of space.
Yep. Couldn't agree more, especially in a crew of 7 with the umpire in the backfield here, because if we had a traditional, crew of 7, maybe the umpire's looking there, but we don't have that set of eyes there. So if this deep wing takes this play off and says, well, hey, I had 19 covered, like, I knew exactly every step he took that play. Well, you were of no value to the crew on this play.
No value whatsoever.
This old cliche, I guess you would call it, whatever player's moving the fastest, feels as everybody else is just letting this play come to its natural conclusion. The left tackle, number 76 in red, is the only player speeding up. See that?
Yes. And that's really close to a foul.
It is.
Very close, but I mean,
it's late enough.
Speak to him at least.
Definitely late enough. And to Brandon's point, we have to see this. And so even if we don't deem the, judges to be a foul, that doesn't mean we can't officiate. That doesn't mean we can't go in and talk to 76 and say, hey, man, slow down around that pile. Don't be picking people, let them know you see this stuff.
That's right.
And that can almost have as much impact, if not more, than any flag we put down on the field.
That's right. That's right.
Oh yeah. That's well said. And then, just Daniel, same comment I would say from the back judge. We're not bailing out. That's probably fine. Controlled movement.
It is, but I think as we I would not, anything wrong with this at all. But I mean, as we continue to look for continuous improvement, I'd be really.
I want to challenge.
I'd feel best about just kind of watching this evolve and then moving when I need to.
I noticed this is I'm sorry, Corey. No, I was going to go to a different topic. Go ahead.
That's right. I was just going to say, I will commend the deep wing and the back. They both do motor down once the play.
Yeah.
So I will give them credit for that. So
for sure.
Absolutely. I noticed in our camps, remember this, in our camps, we had this center judge talking about this position right here. So best way to explain this was a mix between folks that were trying to work center judge or had worked center judge, or umpires who wanted to work in the offensive backfield. Remember how we did that? Found it to be most of the folks that had come from our traditional umpire back here to the offensive backfield. They really wanted to zero in on the football, and they wanted to talk a lot from back here. And, you know, I mean, it's just that, you know, and I get it. There's so much playing the result, if I'm being honest with myself. But it's like, I want to pick up any of these players that are going to attack the pile. I'm really, if you think about it, Tuta, how much, when you watched the players immediately at the pile last year, what did you actually do from an officiating standpoint? You see where my tongue-in-cheek question is going?
Yeah, you actually asked me a trick question because I never watched the plays at the pile. So if crap happens,
Well, good for you. I mean, yeah. And it's like, and I remember when I missed a play just like this several years ago. And not that I haven't missed one since, but I've really tried to become cognizant and learn from that miss that it's like, the threat really isn't the players committing the tackle, like
No.
unless it's going to be a face mask
right.
or a horse collar, which this is clearly neither.
And it's over by now. Even if it
Yeah.
was, it's over by now.
Yeah,
So find
yeah.
something else anyway.
Good point. Good point. It's much more of a value add really to bring these players into the pile with your vision.
Yes.
And you can yell all you want. I notice a lot of our umpires trying to yell at them, which is fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with voice presence, but it's really more about what we're watching at the right time. And so this would be a perfect opportunity. And I wouldn't just put it on this center judge / umpire in the backfield. I think the referee, you know, personally, look at the threat to the quarterback, Tuta, which is nothing.
But
absolutely no threat to the quarterback. So I would hope, this is where I have started to try to move more this way physically so that visually I can see more of what happens up right in this area. If that makes sense.
I would say honestly, Brandon, on this play, I would not do that because there was still some continuing action with the right tackle and the right guard. So I think that would have caught my attention a little bit more than the stuff all the way at the pile.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I don't think, but by the time 70, he's so late. God damn, 70.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. 76 is so late. By that time, I'm sure I would have got off of my stuff and started looking over there as well. And that's a good point that you make. Just physically move yourself towards the area of the dead ball so you could have a better angle at anything that could potentially happen over there.
Yeah. And I used to move basically when the ball was snapped, I would be moving everywhere. I mean, I used to move all the way around here and I used to move over here and I was going crazy as a referee. And then I quit moving and I got some feedback that it's like, man, you're really lazy. And I didn't take that feedback for what it was,
Right.
although I might be lazy, but I said, okay, I can move now that I've dialed my movement back. I had to ratchet it up, but make sure it was with a purpose.
Yeah.
And so this is one of the aspects of so-called movement that I added. Your point with these players is strong, and I appreciate that. Although I do think that this player, or I'm sorry, our official down here, you're cleanup on this side. Just remember that. I know you've got the spot, but you also have cleanup responsibility. And referee, we kind of do too in this play. But this is one play where I've started to move a little bit more to my left towards the middle of the field. And who knows? I mean, maybe what if this player comes back and just absolutely kills this player at the pile, or what this player does, and there's more force here where it rises to the level of an obvious foul, whatever. You know, we can get that. Back judge, you're in great position to get any of this, right, Daniel? I mean, I think the back judge should never miss one of these.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's the same principle, just in reverse. Exact same principle.
Yeah.
We want to find the players that are going to take us to the pile. I mean, you know, a guy on the bottom of the pile punching another guy in the gut is much more rare than this dude. This is something we see fairly often. So
yeah. All right.
I mean, and as a back judge, that's what I want to be thinking about as the ball is becoming dead in this kind of hash numbers area. I want to be feeling and thinking about linemen now running towards this pile. So I for me personally, I'm intentionally, that's a part of my thought process and what I'm looking for.
Beautiful thing.
Well, the other thing is this is play number 6. So now we have a mental note that 76 could be an issue for the rest of the game.
That's a great point. Context of the game.